Hello everyone, good afternoon, and welcome back to Corsace Closed 2022, where the moment you've all been waiting for is just a few minutes away. The winners final, xootynator versus Mathi, will be taking place in just about 10 short minutes from now. But before that, we're gonna do a little discussion about the matchup we're about to see, and by we, I speak of myself, this one guy, and Miles, who's gonna be joining me today, and I think we can agree, if nothing else, that this is a very contested matchup.
Yeah, this matchup is going to be absolutely banging. Both of these players have played out of their minds to get to this point. The winners bracket finals of Corsace Closed, obviously one of the toughest matches you can reach in a 1v1 tournament. And I don't really know what to say about this match to start out. It's going to be very contested, but I want to hear what you think about the match first.
So, I think when you look at these two players, you see very, very different skill sets between them. You know, xootynator has been the aim player, the hidden player, and has shown some really impressive things on some skill sets like alt and tech as well. Meanwhile, Mathi is pretty much the opposite. He is the speed player. He is all about the left-hand maps. He gets those banned against him, and if he gets to pick them, he wins them. And so from that perspective, I think this ends up being a very interesting matchup, because you are looking at a match where I think the players are going to be pretty crystallized in what they want to get out of it. You know, Zooty wants to play the aim stuff, probably wants to play hidden and such. Mathi wants to play speed. And so I think the immediate assumption is that that's what they're going to target in bans, and that's what they're going to go after with their picks. And that's kind of been how it's played out in their previous matches as well. We saw, you know, Zooty get aim banned against her by Arnold, and so she was able to pick into some hidden and alt and do very well. Mathi played against Utami though, which is a very different matchup because they kind of share more skill sets, but he looked the best out of pretty much anyone last week on some of the speed picks that he was able to play. So they've kind of been able to show off their strengths, and those strengths are very, very different.
Yeah, the strengths of Zooty have just been completely unmatched throughout the tournament. We thought that she might be matched by some players like Taquito, who is also a very stellar hidden player, but she was able to dispatch of him in one of the early rounds very handily. And Mathi likewise has done so well on his picks, but I think the main worry for Zooty in this matchup is going to be that skill cap. We've seen this happen in other 1v1 finals before against a player like Utami in NAT last year, where while she was able to get to that late stage very easily, when the skill cap starts to get high into that 8-star level like we see today, Utami was able to take the upper hand on her very, very easily. And I think the biggest worry coming into this match is if Mathi will be able to do the same. While I would totally give Zooty the edge on her strong picks, like the aim maps, some hidden maps, some tech, some alt, I think on the more contested picks later into the match, like after the aim has been picked, after the alt has been picked, maybe once we go into some picks that are really contested, I would say in the Hard Rock pool, a mod that neither of the two I would call specialists at, but both can play very well. I feel like I would edge those picks slightly in favor of Mathi, just because of how his skill cap has just shined through in these late stages throughout the tournaments he has played in the last couple of years.
Yeah, skill cap is a very interesting thing because I think in this pool, you know, like you said, you start to see the skill cap maps showing up a little bit more, obviously, as we get into, you know, the 8-star range. But I almost wonder how true it is that Mathi's skill cap will necessarily shine through. There are, like you said, probably a couple of picks, maybe things like HR4, for instance, Enigma Helix, or even HR3, the Hard Rock alt map that'll come into play. But I really, for me, especially seeing how they've played and how other people have played this pool, I feel like the skill cap maps that are going to affect the players most are the ones that fall strictly within a particular skill set. So Zooty will get skill capped on Nomad 5, DT2, DT3. She'll probably ban a couple of those regardless. Mathi, not really an aim player, so if you're going to call him skill capped on anything, it would probably be the aim maps. And I think anything else that aren't within one of those skill sets that one of the players like has a decided advantage in. I personally feel like the others are a little bit closer. You know, I kind of picked out things like Nomad 3, Nomad 4, maybe the Hidden and Hard Rock 3s for this week as kind of toss-up picks, because even though I can see where you would be coming from, that Mathi may have a higher overall skill cap, I think xooty is good enough, and she's shown that she's good enough to be able to contest those even against Mathi in this one.
I agree with you on the picks that you mentioned, but I was mostly thinking about some other picks that xooty would traditionally be able to play, but like maybe now that we're getting to this stage, I'm thinking of maps like Nomad 6. She is not a specialist at, but she can certainly play up until this point. Sapphire on Fire is such a difficult map. Even a player like Ikoro, I've seen him struggle on that map. Dream and Attraction, very stamina intensive, would go to heavily favor Mathi, even if that's a pick that might be contested a couple rounds earlier. I could see Mathi picking that quite early into this match, since I believe that will be left up against him. I think xooty will go for the obvious bans against a guy like him, Nomad 5, DT2, maybe DT3, we'll have to see. I wonder what xooty's gonna ban, actually. She can go, actually, I wonder what Mathi's gonna ban.
Yeah.
Sorry for my language.
No, I think for xooty there's like 4, maybe 5 possible bans, and it's most likely to come out of 2 of those, or to come out of 3 of those, right? There's Nomad 2 and DT1 as like maybes, and then Nomad 5, DT2, DT3 that are like the super obvious. It's gonna be probably 2 of those 3. For Mathi, I think, knowing what we know about him, I think he chooses maybe an aim map, so one of the Nomad 1, Hidden 1, or Hard Rock 1, and then there's also the chance of him banning Hidden 2, the low AR. It's not something that xooty is especially good at, but it's something that Mathi is like specifically avoided. He banned it out against Utami. It's definitely, you know, low AR Hidden is not something that I would expect out of him, so I would not be surprised to see him ban out that pick. But regardless of that, I think it leaves up, I think, like, from xooty's list of picks, I think more of them are going to be left up than of Mathi's after the bans, because there's only, like, really, if you count Nomad 2, there's 4 speed maps in this pool, and meanwhile there's at least the 3 aim maps plus the other stuff that xooty's good at that Mathi will have to be a little bit more concerned about.
I would also count that Nomad 6 in that sort of speed pool. The high level of finger control and on that map, I think, heavily favors Mathi, and I think that pick should definitely be edged in his favor. But for xooty, I really think if you're going to consider her to have more picks after the ban phase, I think it's really who you would consider to have the advantage on ult and tech, which I think should be a contested skill set between the two. If Mathi were to go for the 2 aim bans, there would be 2 left, and I think DT1 would definitely be, like, Mathi favored, if anything. Say he goes for the Nomad 1, Hidden 1 bans, which would make a lot of sense. Then after that, you would have Nomad 3, Nomad 4, Hidden 3 tech, Hidden 4 kind of a gimmick ulti sort of thing, and then Hard Rock's 3, and I'm not even gonna edge Hard Rock 4 to anyone. That map is just screwed up. Y'all watched that yesterday. Ristel and Utami.
That map is just difficult.
That was the fact that both of them comboed through that like weird overlap stream before the first half. That was just completely absurd, and trying to edge that map in favor of anyone is just like not worth it. But like, if you were to, I feel like the key to this match is gonna lie in the tech and the ult. If you're gonna give people, if you're gonna give anyone favor in amount of picks, like the Hard Rock 3, Hidden 3, Nomad 3, the 3s.
Dude, there's a lot of ult in this pool, dude. What is like? There's Nomad 3, Hard Rock 3, DT4.
That one too, I forgot about that. That's gonna be a, I think that favors Mathi slightly, but I feel like that will be picked late if picked at all.
I think it really, it almost feels like to me it comes down at the end of the day to literally just who's playing better today, because they both have skill sets that they're super favored on, but then eventually, like you kind of alluded to, like they're gonna run out of those really one-sided picks, and then they start to get into stuff that's contested, and it kind of comes down to who is playing best on the contested maps. And like you said, I think there's definitely the argument can be made that the skill cap aspect of it goes to Mathi. But man, Zooty like went nuts last week on things like Nomad 3 and Hidden 1. And if she can do that again this week, then this match could look very interesting if she chooses to pick into those style of maps again and can win them again.
Yeah, Zooty definitely played out of her mind to get here, so if she can bring it out again for us and perhaps take some of those more contested, maybe more skill cap oriented picks against Mathi, it wouldn't surprise me at all. She is an absolutely stellar player, and I'm really excited to see where this match is going to go.
Yep. And so as we get close to match time starting here, I just want to know, like, had to pick right now, somebody told you are forced to choose one of these players, would you be going that Mathi pick? Is that your choice for the winner that's going to get into the grand finals here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mathi. I think he'll end up taking those more skill cap oriented picks, and even if Zooty, I feel like they're actually going to split the contested picks. I have a feeling that if someone's going to win something and then the other person's going to win the other thing, but Mathi I've just got him. It's just my gut pick. I don't really know what to say.
I think it's fair. I think the skill cap can definitely show through on a pool like this, and I think we're gonna find out pretty soon. So I want to say thank you to Miles for being here for a little pre-match discussion. Always nice to have your analysis in the booth.
My pleasure. I am going to be replaced by Chillier Pear. Goodbye to you all.
And it is time. We're going to be moving into picks and bans here very shortly. Welcome to the booth, Chillier Pear, who's around to hear at least some of that. And I think can agree with myself and Miles that we are going to be faced with a very close, very competitive match.
Very conflicted about this match. I know I'm in a weird spot because last week I thought that Arnold would have a pretty good time in his match against Zooty. And look where we are. Arnold has been eliminated from the tournament, and xootynator now looking to make her position solidified in the winner's final spot.
And so I think, like we were talking about with Miles, I think it really comes down to the contested picks. We kind of shouted out the non-mechanics, basically. After what we saw yesterday from the players, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these two, who are, in the winner's side, therefore ostensibly kind of, the best players in the tournament, very interested to see how they perform on some of these really difficult maps, because this pool is freaking hard. We saw some not amazing scores on some stuff for both players because some of these maps are so incredibly difficult, and we saw some really ridiculous performances. Was it Arnold on... We saw like some Nomad 6 shenanigans. We saw some Nomad 2 shenanigans. Like, we've seen some really incredible things, and I'm hyped to see what these guys can throw at us.
Yeah, this will be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what Arnold, or what Mathi is able to do in this match. I know it's been a little while longer since we've gotten to see him play. Of course, the last time we saw Mathi was last weekend in his match, clinching out that tiebreaker finish against Utami for a 6-5 win. That is a very, very big performance. Utami had a very good match this weekend in both of his matches against Arnold and Malashevsky, and he has been looking so dominant across the board thus far, to best Utami in that match, even though it was in closer fashion. And I think that, given scores all around, he is going to have a pretty good time in this match. But again, we mentioned a lot, Zooty, if she's having a good day, she is, kind of on par with what we talk about with Utami, where he's normally really good. But if you catch these players on a good day, it's almost impossible to, guarantee winning anything.
Yeah, the peaks of some of these players are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they'll show up and just FC everything you throw at them. And we are getting into the bans here. It looks like we had Mathi with the first ban, so Zooty will end up with the first pick. He does go the Hidden 2, she does go the Double Time 2 and the Double Time 3, so no surprises there. Hidden 4, I'm a little surprised to see Mathi banning that out. That is a lower BPM, super heavy flow aim with some kind of awkward jumps thrown in. Hollow Wings, obviously known for a certain style of mapping that is not very comfortable to play. I'm a little surprised to see that banned out. It felt like a little bit more of a toss-up map, but the other three of those bans are completely unsurprising, I think, to everyone. And the hidden one first pick, likewise.
Very much smart bans from these two players. I think now with some matches under their belts and maybe getting a chance to look at what some of the other players have been doing, they have had an opportunity now to maybe have a look at what some of the easier maps may potentially be, or maps that have higher scores on them, and maybe get a sense for where their comfortable positions lie. And xootynator are going to be immediately opening up with the drive on crazy pick here, of course. I talked about this, I think, yesterday. I thought that this map would be something that sits right in the middle of her ballpark here. She's going to drop some accuracy at the beginning, but won't really matter too much as Mathi does as well.
Yeah, this is like just the Zooty special. She first picked Hidden One last week as well and FC'd it. She was, I think, the only FC on that map last week. Her command of hidden awkward aim is second to very few people in the entirety of the Osu scene, and certainly in the tournament scene is up at the top. Even with this one being a little bit faster at 210 BPM, that's not going to be anything uncomfortable for her. And Mathi, for his part, not really a specialist in hidden awkward aim, and you can see that with the early break. Despite being behind in accuracy, Zooty with the combo lead already in this one.
Just a very slight combo lead here, but it's definitely going to be enough to keep her pretty confidently up there right now. Still going to have that accuracy deficit, but again, you can kind of see just how much more comfortable she is than Mathi on this. He's finding just a couple of misses on some of these more awkward aim patterns here, and I think that is the nature of this map when you throw hidden on it. It really is not something I think that you can confidently go through like your other standard aim maps in this category. So, Zooty being one of the best players at this skill set, I think, in general, is just going to give her a massive advantage here as she continues to close that accuracy lead, as well as take a very sizable score lead right now, almost halfway through the map. We're going to hit that point in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, this is looking good. Zooty's aim is just superior to Mathi's in this matchup, and I don't think he would dispute that claim. Yeah, his better speed and finger control are going to help him to the accuracy lead, but he just can't out-aim xootynator, and what was it, maybe 2 or 3 breaks in that first Ki are all it took for her to establish going on a 100k lead now halfway through. She's still holding the FC. This is a lengthy pick. I mean, it's 4 minutes, but another couple misses from Mathi, and he's going to be looking at Zooty's taillights for the rest of the way on this map.
Well, we'll see if anything can happen at the ending of this map right now. But Zooty does find a pretty big miss right there. That is not something that she wanted to see, but luckily for her, Mathi is pretty far behind at the current position and really won't have a whole lot of room to come back right now, especially given his performance up till now. I think we can expect to see maybe one more miss unless he really pulls it together at the ending.
Yeah, both players actually looking reasonably confident and comfortable with the aim through most of this, but just that little extra aim advantage for xootynator, and she makes it through that bridge without issue. Still a whole third of the map to go. You do have to keep that in mind, but with it being that 130k score lead, it's not going to be too big of a concern of Mathi coming back anytime soon. Even with the 1% ACK lead, he would need her to completely fall apart. And there's another break from him instead. Zooty with the hidden one first picks. She's been feeling good with these, and it looks like she's going to feel good with it once more here.
Well, pretty confident for a first pick and has been for a while now. Mathi sitting with a decent accuracy lead for basically the entire map. It's just the lack of combo that has been his downfall here. Zooty able to put up that initial almost 1,000 combo, really doing her a lot of favors, and it looks like she's going to recover pretty well from that break as well, going to combo almost everything after it. So she has had definitely a better time on this map overall in terms of the aim. Mathi seems pretty comfortable at the BPM with, the accuracy being said, but again, he is just not too confident with the aim and is finding misses pretty frequently.
I'm going to be curious to see the 100 count variance between these players, because Mathi has 0.5% better accuracy despite having like 6 or 8 misses, which means he has to have much, much better accuracy discounting those misses. Zooty, though, far better score, You can't argue with that kind of combo lead. That's always a nice spot to be in, comfortable. Yeah, 16 fewer 100s, just 5 more misses for Mathi. But Zooty plays the combo advantage. 500 more combo is a lot, especially on a pool that's this hard. That's well done for her on a first pick that I think always felt like it was going to go her way to start off the match.
Yeah, I think she comes into a lot of these matches and she sees, kind of the style of awkward aim that we have on these hidden ones here, and it really, really does favor her, especially when you start to get, slightly higher in the BPM here. 210's not ridiculous, but she's definitely will increase in how comfortable she is based on the BPM here. She's really good at that high BPM, high intensity aim. Mathi, of course, going to go immediately back in for the more stamina-oriented pick here of Null Mod 5. Very understandable. He is easily one of the best players in this tournament for this skill set. We talked about Utami yesterday, who is also, I think, one of those top 2 players on this skill set here. xootynator being not one of the top 2 players of the skill set, this is definitely going to be one of the biggest score margins I think we're going to see across a lot of these maps, unless she has made some pretty decent improvement in previous weeks.
Yeah, it's a speed stat of 5.9 against a speed stat of 8.3, and that's one of those skill sets that I think those ratings are pretty accurate for. With speed being such a binary skill set. And yeah, this was, the biggest gap between these two if you compare their scores from last week. The Nomad 5 last week, Mathi F-seed, and Zooty put up a very solid 210,000 points. So you can kind of anticipate how this one's going to go, and it's already starting. Mathi at 99.3, dropping a little bit back, versus Zooty, who's had multiple breaks and is down at 96. As you said, this is probably going to be one of the biggest score gaps we're going to see in this match.
Mathi is just far too strong at this skill set. Zooty was doing a pretty decent job of holding it at the beginning, but again, I kind of mentioned her speed is not really the issue, it's the stamina. So being able to sustain this almost 260 BPM burst patterning with no breaks in between is really where she starts to struggle, and that's why Mathi has a pretty decent advantage on this. He was looking kind of rough on the aim on Hidden 1, but he's definitely pulled it together a little bit with the lack of Hidden and these jumps being slightly more comfortable, and of course, Mathi being arguably, again, one of the best tournament speed players of all time. This is not really going to be super difficult for him until maybe some of these ending sections here.
Yeah, the stamina requirement of this map is kind of absurd. Like, it just never lets up on you, and it forces you to have, finger control stamina in the sense that, there's bursts interspersed with jumps, so you really have to be, it's like there'll be, triple and then a couple singles and then a triple, so the finger control on top of having to have the raw stamina is pretty high. Zooty actually putting together a really solid combo here. She's up at 800, which is only behind by a few hundred combo, but almost a 4% AC discrepancy between the players kind of goes to show where the comfort level is for these two on this pick. Halfway through, another long one. This pool is, I think, a lot longer than the last one, so it calls into question that consistency, and that's a break.
Zooty's got a long way to go with
she has a long, yeah, she has a tall mountain to climb here.
She would have to have arguably one of her best speed plays of the tournament here. She is somehow making it through these streams with 50s all over the place. Combo game is real.
That score gap is not coming down very quickly because she's at 95 AC and he's at 99 AC, but the combo is so huge. It'll happen eventually if she can somehow keep this together, which would be probably one of the biggest upset picks I would have ever seen in my life in a tournament if she wins this.
4.5% almost in AC difference.
Yeah, but the score cap's only 50k. Okay, there it goes.
Okay. All right, and now her score will immediately tank.
Yeah, now we get to the last quarter of the map, and the intensity just continues going. And
that was going to be interesting.
Yeah,
that was going to be interesting.
I did not see that going the way it did for almost 2/3 of the map, but yeah, her stamina I think kind of ran out a little bit there, and Mathi's, to the surprise of very few, didn't.
Yeah, he had that one little extra miss there on that triple pattern and then recovered pretty nicely after that. Zooty did really well for herself. I think this is a score she can definitely be pretty proud of going into the rest of this match here, but if I was xootynator and or in her position, I definitely wouldn't have gone into this map expecting to win it, and I think that's just kind of the mentality you need to have at the beginning of these matches where, I think Mathi has hopefully the same mindset where it's like, listen, we're both really good players, you're both skilled at are certain niche skill sets that we kind of diverge at, and I expect to lose, maybe this certain quantity of picks at the beginning of the match, and then maybe it gets a little bit closer as the pool gets smaller, and I think that's kind of the case right now. I think Hidden One was always going to be pretty Zooty favored. I think, the speed map was always going to be pretty Mathi favored, and I think, maybe not as evident from the scores, only about 160,000 score difference between the two. That accuracy just screams confidence from Mathi. I mean, he has 10, 11 times less misses. He's got almost 8 times less in the 100 count. He's got 7 times less 50s. The confidence is just exuding from him right now. The combo from xootynator, though, really tried to come in clutch there.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Zooty put up 426k on Nomad 5 at a finals level that's an 8-star pool. Like, that's a really insane score by her standards on that type of map, especially considering she put up 210k on last week's Nomad 5, which was objectively easier. I don't know, that's really impressive despite, losing it. That's a very solid score from her. And like you said, she expects it to be a loss, I think. So to be able to go in and put up at least a decent score and not, look like it was completely one-sided is a really good showing. And I think that helps a little confidence that you're contesting opponents' picks on maps that are expected to be quite that binary. But that's a 1-1. And she's going to go Hard Rock 2, which I guess kind of makes sense because Precision, not a Mathi skill set. But I didn't expect her to go this so early. So we'll see.
Yeah,
this has been a late pick previously.
More
in this
confident,
round.
maybe. Who knows? Some extra practice, maybe. Zooty does tend to be a little bit more confident, I think, on the aim and precision skill sets than a lot of people give her credit for when she does practice them. And I think going into a match like this, and she's had a lot of opportunities to see what this map is like from some of these other matches. I believe it's been played almost every time so far. This is definitely one of those maps that, if you're picking it this early in your xootynator, she's a pretty confident player in terms of her picks overall at the beginning of matches when she does have momentum. So I think she's going to do everything she can to try and keep that momentum and, maybe just to see if she's got the precision locked in today, which I'd say 9 times out of 10 she does. But we do talk about this map. You kind of, and I sounded like a broken record the other day, but you do kind of break on nothing sometimes in this map. There is a lot of potential for slider breaks in a lot of these Furiquitous maps.
Yeah, this is a very interesting sort of map. There's that under aim, or over aim actually. You just have a very easy time slightly missing a circle when it's CS 6.5. There's 2 breaks, in fact, from Mathi. This was the site of a tragedy yesterday, of course, for anybody that was watching Taquito versus Arnold. It felt like Taquito was going to take that match to tiebreaker with this as the last pick, and then just fell apart while Arnold nearly FC'd the entire back half of the pick to win it and close the match out. So we'll see if we get any more dramatics out of this map today. But so far, so good for Zooty. She just avoided those little aim misses, and that's maybe just going to be the story of this match, is that she avoids the aim misses where Mathi might find more of them.
Yeah, this little burst section right here is pretty easy comparatively to that other section in the beginning and then towards the end here. So she definitely had a little bit of combo until that space dream, and both players doing well for themselves to hit that spike right there. But again, right now, xootynator very clearly in the lead, just slightly more confident on the precision aim right now, as Mathi does find just another break here. Unfortunately, that may just close the pick out with that miss having been halfway, and Zooty looking really good through the first bit of this map here.
Yeah, this is, I think, Zooty just out to prove that she's better at this skill set in this matchup. And, if she continues looking this good on aim stuff, it opens up some interesting other picks in this pool. Whereas Mathi will have to get that aim together, because all of the misses in this map have just been on aim, and it felt like kind of his misses in the first 2 picks as well were just on the aim. He's never going to have a problem with the tapping. But Zooty just looking so much better at this precise aim, and man, if she FCs this, that would be a really remarkable performance. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think the concern for Mathi at a situation like this is that, if you're in this match as him, this is a mechanics-oriented player. Mathi is a very mechanics-centric player in terms of his picks in tournaments. And if his aim is not feeling super good on match day, Close is a lot of the stuff he's normally really good at. And the problem when you're against xootynator is she's a really good aim player, which is a kind of a major component of mechanics. So, like...
Aim is slightly important in Osu, just in case anybody wasn't sure. It is a big... It's roughly 50% of the game.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of those times where you got to be on your game. She's ready for aim 24/7, and she shows it. Look at that.
That was clean. She even matched the accuracy too, which is also like all the more impressive against a player like Mathi to match the AC as well as pulling off the FC because her aim is just that good. That's impressive. That's a really, really impressive score from xootynator on that pick right there. I think that is the first FC we've seen on this map this weekend, right?
I believe so. I think it's been a lot of chokes in some of the other matches that we've seen this weekend. At the very least, in the Arnold Utami match, they did not play it. In Utami versus Malashevsky, which had some of the highest scoring maps of this weekend, it was a slider break S rank at 711k for Utami and a 693k for Malashevsky. So I don't actually think we've seen an FC yet. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nuts. All right. We're going to go Nomad 2 for Mathi because left hand. Hey, guys, welcome back. We're going to do some tapping now. I think this is another one that is a pretty good pick for Mathi. It's a 4-minute long 205 BPM stream map with a pretty heavy finger control component to it in addition to the raw stamina of the streams. So right up Mathi's alley, much as, kind of the previous pick was for him. But hey, man, Zooty has apparently just taken a giant leap in tapping mechanics. So, maybe there's a world where this stays interesting, just like the Nomad 5 did.
Well, we'll see what happens on this one. I think, when we saw this map before, it was a lot of the, spacing changes in this map that really had a lot of the breaks come out of nowhere on this map. Because like you were saying, the stamina on this, while intensive, is definitely not as bad as some other Nomad 2s that we've seen in history. So this is definitely one of those maps where I think players of this caliber will have a lot of trouble with some of the aim sections. And there goes Mathi on them already.
Yeah, I don't want to make any bold sweeping claims, not even 4 maps into a match, but his aim does not seem to be really on today. I mean, he's missing on jump aim and flow aim, right, on the maps we've seen so far. Not a good sign when you are any player, really. If your aim is off, it's just not going to be a good day for you. And Zooty now able to take a pretty solid early lead. That's 400 combo plus a sizable amount of accuracy in her favor, and we're only just past a quarter of the way in. Oh, there she goes.
Oh,
yep. What happened? Was that like note lock? I really couldn't tell because my stream was a little laggy. What happened there on that break?
Yeah, she may have over-aimed and note-locked on some of those patterns there, and that's a big thing that can happen in a map like this. That is, again, another big point of why the aim in this map. And oh my god, Mathi understreaming that entire thing, getting hundreds.
He caught it.
Oh my gosh.
It's fine. Zooty missed, and he still held the combo even if he understreamed the entire thing. It's fine.
He just lost 2% AC.
And yet he's still up by 1.6% AC, by the way. So, contextualizing it, it's not as bad as it might be otherwise.
Yeah, he's only got a 40,000 score lead because of it, regardless of all these breaks that Zooty has had. So it certainly did some damage, but he's going to be a fair bit in the lead with Zooty. Just having a lot more trouble on these space patterns here. Not quite used to it. Mathi is also going to find a chain miss equally with xootynator. They both just absolutely deceased on that pattern.
Wow. All right, I regret to inform everyone that on this day, xootynator and Mathi have both passed away. Donations in their name can be made to the Osu Stream Foundation. We will hope to honor their memories in the future of Nomad 2 players.
Well, into the ending of the map right now, we're definitely seeing some surprising performances from these two players on here. I mean, Mathi winning this pick is not super surprising, but not quite in the fashion I think we expected, especially given some of the scores we've seen this weekend on this map. I won't talk about Utami because he's kind of an anomaly on a map like this, but this is, it's going to turn out to be kind of okay for these two players, especially Mathi. Seems like he's going to have the chance to maybe hit 500k by the ending here, but the confidence just not all there.
And I feel like confidence is like such a big part, right? Yeah, I mean, Zooty feeling, I think, much more confident on her own picks, even though, like you said, Mathi's, almost guaranteed to win this pick.
Maybe not.
Oh, wait. Okay, this could still... I don't think there's enough time.
Nah, there might not. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, God, she missed more than one time.
But, yeah, the confidence level is not going to be where it needs to be for Mathi, even though it's going to be tied 2-2. I think you don't feel super great coming out of a pick like this, performing that way on something that you were, super, super favored on to only win it by 100k, and with that kind of outcome in terms of, ACK and miscount, not the greatest time for Mathi. Zooty looking quite comprehensive in her victories on both of her picks, whereas Mathi looked a little shaky.
Yeah, I think Mathi, while not super confident on the Snow Mod 2, definitely had just that slight edge in terms of the confidence on that stream aim. Maybe, and again, it is a lot of the time as well that if you're more confident with your tapping, you generally have slightly better aim on picks like this because you have to focus a little bit less on that left hand, gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to kind of think about where you're putting your cursor, and I think that's kind of where Mathi might have had his advantage there, was because he just didn't have to think twice about his left hand and his tapping, and that, provides definitely a decent amount of extra confidence in your aim. I don't know. If you guys want to have just as good tapping as Mathi, I definitely suggest checking out our sponsor, Momokai. They make some great keypads that may potentially lead you on the path to victory, just like Mathi is trying to take right now.
The path to top 10 in the world and some of the most ridiculous speed and finger control plays out there. You never know. It could be yours. And what else could be yours is a nice Hard Rock 4 pick, which we talked about before the match as being a really hard map that both of these players are probably going to either do very well on or very poorly on, and it's kind of hard to say which, but based on some of the previous matches, I'd, kind of hedge my bets toward the doing very well on it.
Well, I think that given the trend of the previous Hard Rock pick right now, Zooty has certainly seemed pretty solid on some of these, this is a little bit bigger out of the circles, obviously being CS 5.3, but the aim control stuff right now has definitely been something that she has looked just a little bit more consistent in. Mathi has certainly been keeping up the accuracy, but again, it's right there. Those little misses with the cursor placement have been kind of doing him in, but xootynator does find a break to trade this one, unlike previous picks, so he is not out of it just yet here, but we talked about it yesterday, there's that big build up, and if you break there, it's kind of rough because you've got free combo after it, comparatively.
The just never-ending spaced stream patterns in this. You can win the map basically right here if you hit it and your opponent doesn't.
Both players hit it.
All right.
Both players, please. No!
Nope. There goes Mathi. All right.
Tragic.
And now...
break on the hard part.
Yeah, he broke before it. And look at that, identical accuracy, 97.35 on both. But Zooty's going to have a decent combo lead here of about 270. And she gets a little bit of free combo as well. I think it's going to be very, very hard for any sort of comeback to occur here regardless, though, because of this free combo and then the last part of the map probably being pretty even between these two.
Well, let's see what happens with the rest of the map here. xootynator has shown that she is a little bit more confident on all of the Hard Rock picks, and she's keeping up the combo pretty well right now, but Mathi's pretty close behind, so anything right now. We saw Malashevsky find a very unfortunate break in this section yesterday, and it could happen to either of these players if it happened there, but we're seeing just a little bit more confidence through these doubles here, and we're going to start to come to the ending of the map, and Mathi is going to be running out of time pretty quickly here. 100k in the lead for xootynator right now, and Mathi might not have enough combo to bring that back if she doesn't break like now.
Yeah, I think at this point it is over on this pick. There's not the combo left, even if Zooty just completely fell apart. This is a very, very good score from her once again. Her own picks are working out so well. Mathi, though, I mean, a little more competitive on this one. He'll feel a little bit better. just the unfortunate timing of that break at the build-up kind of sealed his fate, because literally neither of them missed, again, the rest of the map. The entire second half after that little pause, both just FC'd. 770k and 617k are, good scores. TM, one miss from Zooty, that's fine. 2 misses from Mathi. That's the scores you would expect, I think, out of these guys on a matchup like this, on a map like this. Very, very high level play. Zooty just a little bit stronger in the early going on that pick.
Yep, definitely that initial break, and unfortunate enough for Mathi, he missed on that kind of that double section before the spaced part of that, big build up before that ending section there, which definitely is not normally where you see the breaks from players. You generally see it at, towards the end cut part of that. So he's going to go in for Nomad 6. This is definitely something I think that Mathi is very good at. Contrary to what we talk about Mathi being a very good mechanics player, Sapphire on Fire is faster in terms of Nomad 6, in terms of the finger control that's required for this pick, and I think Mathi has a hell of a lot more finger control than people give him credit for. This will be a slightly more contested pick, though. I think xootynator is pretty solid at maps that are gimmick, like in this style, but again, that finger control coming out from Mathi and his ability to play higher BPM maps and his ability to just quick switch between 1/6, 1/3, 1/4 patterns is something that does prove to be pretty valuable on Nomad 6 picks that are finger control oriented like this.
Yeah,
this misses because he can't aim today.
The aim, yeah. This is like the classic Devious Panda Nomad 6 style. We last had a map like this as Nomad 6 back in quarterfinals 2 weeks ago, where Mathi had a better score than Zooty, despite, I believe, him losing it and her winning it in their respective matches. You expect him to do well on this in terms of the accuracy and finger control. The question is, as we see a couple of breaks from him early on, is, will his aim actually be able to hold up? Because you have to have pretty solid control-based aim for maps like this, and that's been his weakness so far today. But fortunately, Zooty finding some breaks and finding some accuracy drops is going to keep this close for the moment. But it's so short that things can change in a big hurry.
Well, right now, it's going to stay pretty even between the two. Mathi with just a tiny accuracy lead, but it's really not going to matter as he continues to find combo breaks here again. His finger control looking pretty on point. He's starting to gain an even bigger acc lead towards the ending here, but all of this chain missing is just destroying it. This is a very difficult section, too. xootynator, really good at comboing stuff, so she is just going to pull ahead right here.
Yeah, it's just the story of this match is that it's like... Mathi, to me, looks like somebody who just changed their tablet area, and they can't quite figure out how to aim on the new area. And they just make little aim misses repeatedly as they're trying to get used to it. That's kind of what this match is feeling like. His left hand is fine, but his right hand is letting him down, and Zooty is just playing the ultimate combo game where she has like a couple of early breaks, and she's just kind of mashing her way through everything after that to keep combo despite the lower accuracy.
I think that right now all she needs to do is just keep up what she's been doing. She's been doing terrible on the accuracy. I won't pull any punches. It's awful. But the combo is all that matters. I mean, she ends up with almost 120,000 score victory on Mathi's own pick, and that's a pretty sizable margin on a Nomad 6 that's this difficult. I mean, she cut the miscount in half just because Mathi was not super confident on the cuts in between those streams there. So, regardless of how much stronger Mathi may have been on the finger control, xootynator, she knows how to handle Nomad 6 finger control picks like this, and I think, I kind of mentioned before the map started, a little bit of a gamble for Mathi. He has the finger control, he has the ability to play stuff like this, and you can see it reflected in the 100 count. I mean, it's 81 hundreds less, same 50s, but the misses and just the little miss aims from Mathi today are just absolutely destroying his scores, and he is now down a break point that xootynator has potential to consolidate here. She's been looking good across the board.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, now that she has that break point in her back pocket, what direction she's going to go with her own pick based on the maps she's been winning. There's aim, but there's also some finger control and consistency in there. And so there it is. She's going to go Nomad 1, and it's just going to be, kind of pushing that raw aim aspect of the gameplay where you see your opponent not having a great aim day, or you see yourself just being better at aim. Kind of a combination of both of those factors on a raw aim map like a No Mod 1. This is this is a pick that I kind of expected her to go with early. I kind of would not have been surprised to see like Hidden 1, No Mod 1 first 2 picks from Zooty. But she saves it for a little later on, and I think she's like super, super favored on this, the way the aim is going in this matchup.
Well, right now, at the current position, this is not going to be good for Mathi with the amount of aim picks left in the pool. But this No Mod 1, there is always the chance for little breaks here and there. And Mathi has really broken on the aim in some of these picks up till now, on some more awkward patterning, some more densely packed stuffs, maybe slightly flow aim oriented. This is just big cross screen aim with streams mixed in. And we talk about Mathi being a mechanics player, and if he's going to try and not prove me wrong right here, hopefully. And I think this is probably his best shot of winning a map, oriented around mechanics. This is pretty much the most straightforward one in the pool, but with how Zooty's been aim has been today, like you mentioned, it's going to be a tough ask because she has been so consistent.
Yeah, there is one interesting facet of this particular map where No Mod 1s are concerned, and that is the amount of streams, and in both like 1/4 and 1/3 rhythm streams, which is something that Mathi is going to be stronger, right? That skill set is going to favor him at least a little bit in this matchup most of the time. You can see little 1/3 patterns like that, the streams at the end of the key eyes, etc., etc. So if his aim holds up, which it doesn't, then those streams could play a role. But unfortunately, Zooty's aim is just too strong, and Mathi's is not there. If you want to see like some of the pinnacle of aim gameplay in tournaments these days, just watch xootynator. Her raw aim is absolutely ridiculous, even with that break. With that break, it's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely just slightly more confident than what you see. And look, you can see Mathi just continuously under-aiming some of these horizontal jumps right here. I don't know if his tablet's just kind of misplaced a little bit, or if he's sitting in his chair wrong. Like, genuinely, it is stupid stuff like that.
That's the worst. When you sit in your chair
feel
wrong,
awkward,
and you're uncomfortable,
like you feel tired in your chair. Yeah.
I don't know. But whatever the case may be, I think Zooty coming into this matchup was the better aim player regardless, and it was going to take a Herculean effort from Mathi to win on raw aim picks, even if this one is the most straightforward of them. But, man, it's unfortunate to see some of the breaks that Mathi has been kind of acquiring here on this map.
Well, right now, xootynator pretty convincingly going to take this point unless she finds a big break at the ending right now and Mathi's able to hold combo. But there it is, the miss on the triple.
Yep. All right. Now this one's about all over here, I would say, on this pick. It's a pretty solid dip. Okay, well, it was going to be a pretty solid score from Zooty. Actually, 450k is not like bad by any means, but this could have been better. She had a couple of unfortunate misses. This score could have looked really, really good. It's going to be enough to win, though, and that's all that really matters. This is the result you could expect out of a No Mod 1 between these two.
It's tragic to see, and you really do, I think expect a lot out of a player like Mathi in tournaments. And we've seen some, stellar performances from him in tournaments, in previous months, but it's just not all there today. He's just not confident enough on the aim. And, again, we've seen what Mathi can do. Everyone knows that he is an extremely good player, but when you're up against xootynator on a pool that has got a lot of aim-oriented picks like this, and she is just feeling consistent across the board, there's not much you're going to be able to do unless you're having a good day. Like a 500k score on this map is pretty impressive across the board. We've seen some ridiculous matches this weekend, and I think that's still one of the higher scores we've seen. So, you do need to be having kind of an exceptional day to beat some of these scores. And unfortunately, Mathi really not feeling good on anything outside of these speedier picks here today. He's going to try and go for the DT1 just to pick up a little bit more of a faster map. But, after this, where do you go if you're Mathi?
Yeah, and the where do you go question is something that I was kind of talking about beforehand in our little pre-match analysis segment, that it felt to me like even though the raw skill cap in some areas is higher for Mathi, I felt like there were more picks for Zooty. Like, it felt like she had more options available to her in this pool. DT1, despite him being known as a very strong DT player, there's a lot of aim in this one. There's a little bit of speed in the form of some 5-note and 3-note bursts, but for the most part, this is a lot about aim. And I think we all know how good Zooty is even on the super high BPM, like 270 BPM DT aim. Her aim holds up fine. She has some really insane scores and has shown in this tournament that she's able to play these maps all right. So this feels like a little bit of a Hail Mary pick, in the sense that I don't know where else he would go, but I don't know how advantaged it is to Mathi.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would say that a DT1 pick like this is something Mathi could just crank a double S out on. Like, if you've seen the types of maps he plays, this is to a T what he is good at. This fast 10.3 aim with triples thrown in everywhere. Like, this is something that Mathi is so freaking good at. And right now, it's doing a pretty good thing for him right now. He's still holding that double S xootynator with the one break, and Mathi's going to be able to run away with quite a bit of score here if he's able to hold the halfway. So, yeah, and there's another break from xootynator, so I guess, regardless of how, rough his aim has looked today, the DT1 and the 10.3 aim is still something that Mathi is an absolute champ at.
Yep, he decided to prove us all wrong about whether or not his aim was good enough for the DT1. This is a pretty emphatic answer to that question. And, with that 5-2 deficit and the consolidated break point for Zooty, he really needed this. And already at 600k, still holding the SS. Not much more you can say than, great job to Mathi on making this pick and having it work incredibly well in his favor.
I think even motivationally, this is just a big step for him right now, just to get some sort of confidence back. And, unironically, not even just for how cool the score would be, I hope he is able to close out this FC with this good of accuracy right now, because this would be a big boost for him to know that, he probably at this point thinks he's having a little bit of a rough game day, and I'm sure he knows it, but something like this and just knowing that you're still able to put up some sort of really impressive score is absolutely massive for him. And I'm trying not to say anything. What? Did he think the map was over?
What?
I wonder if he thought the map was over. That's the only thing I could comprehend there, is that he thought, and honestly, I can see why, if you haven't practiced this map a lot, why you would think that was the ending of the map, but oh my god, he would have double S'd that. He would have. He 100% would have.
Yeah, I mean, he probably had 60 UR, and the ending doesn't throw anything complex at you. I don't know. It's still a win, and it's still a 400k win. So you take that, at face value. That was kind of tragic, but he really needed that pick, though. Regardless of what happened at the end, I hopefully, because it's not like a solo score, it's a tournament, and he won the point. Hopefully that's not going to bother him too much to lose that SS like that. And now we got a hard rock one. All right, so we get all the ones today.
The ones, literally all of them.
Yep,
every single one.
All 4 ones, and 3 of them in a row, no less. We go. No one wants DT1, hard rock 1, just boom, boom, boom. This is if Mathi's aim is back together, this one is very high BPM. It's 240. If his aim is reliant on high BPM, maybe this is something that he can try to get that break point back on. Who knows?
Yeah, these higher BPM picks definitely been working out a little bit better for him, and I think for his sake, I hope he's able to grab a pick on this, because this is something that I think is probably the most similar to what we've seen in terms of DT1 yet. I do think that, unfortunately for him as well, this is pretty similar to Hidden One at the same time, and xootynator looked really good on that, and Hard Rock. So you combine those two things right now, and we talked about just how good her high BPM aim is. So Mathi really going to have to work for this one today. He looked okay on the Hard Rock picks earlier, but again, it's that aim, and he just slider broke right there with just a slight miss aim.
Yep, it's just that kind of precision aspect of the aim is not quite there for him today, and it clearly is for xootynator. As long as she can hold through to this Ki, she should be able to build up a pretty sizable lead. There's this little build up, and she gets through that no problem. So that's a several hundred combo advantage to xootynator, and she gets a little bit more slightly awkward, but still relatively comfortable for her, at least, aim to contend with in this Ki, and that lead is already out to 60,000 points.
Well, pretty solid lead for xootynator, showing her confidence thus far on the aim, looking still better across the board. Again, something I think a trend we've seen showing up pretty often right now. Mathi not doing too bad for himself after that initial break, but he does really have to hope for a break from xootynator somewhere in the latter half of this map. It's certainly not over yet by any means, but again, given trends in this match right now, for xootynator to find a break and Mathi hold combo for the rest of it is something that we just haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's been very rare. It feels like whenever he is breaking, she is holding combo, and if she breaks, it's at the same time as him. And right now, it's more of the just both holding combo side of things, but she'll be perfectly content with that. It's a 100k lead, slight accuracy lead for Mathi, but you know, keeping even combo at this point is absolutely going to be fine with Zooty.
Yeah, I think the big trend we've seen thus far in all the picks Mathi has won, xootynator has had a rough time straight from the start, but every single time we've seen Mathi find a miss aim at the start of a map, he just has not won the pick. xootynator just a slight bit more consistent across the board on picks like this. Mathi doing much better on this Hard Rock pick than we've seen him do on some of the prior aim picks, but again, it's gotta come from xootynator right now. She has to be the one to find a break, and as long as she continues holding right now, the score lead is gonna continue growing, and soon enough, it's gonna be an insurmountable point for Mathi. I'd say within maybe the next 100,000 score, he won't be able to do anything about it. I think once he hits... Okay! We over-aimed that. Oh, that is definitely...
Yeah, I think somewhere probably around like 750k or so was going to be the theoretical maximum regardless. So once we got to that point, it was pretty much over, even if he had hit that combo. Oh, the over-aim from Zooty. She's going to be denied an FC here, unfortunately, right near the end. But yeah, Mathi missing just at the wrong time. Boy, Zooty is just having herself a day, though. I tell you, her aim is looking so solid on so many of these picks. That is 6-3 match points in her favor with, you know, it's what, one miss, one slider break, I think, there for Mathi. But it's enough because Zooty just always has combo. It feels like on these picks, no matter what Mathi does and no matter where he manages to, you know, hold combo, she's still alive. And if he breaks, guess what? She's still alive. It's like the Terminator. She just refuses to break, and she's always coming after you no matter what you do. And now, this could be your last pick here if you're Mathi. And I don't know what's left for him. This is a problem. I don't know what he has here.
This is dangerous for Mathi right now, and, you know, it's really unfortunate to look at. Again, I think it was so, you know, similar to what we saw in the Utami versus Malashevsky match, where I think the score line of this match doesn't really show how close some of these have been, because, you know, regardless that xootynator has had some decent score gaps on these, Mathi has generally looked slightly more comfortable on some of the picks he's lost. I mean, he had one miss and one slider break on that compared to xootynator's 2 misses. Like, and higher accuracy on a lot of them too. So, you know, he's very clearly still comfortable on this pool. It's just the slight miss aims will absolutely dog your scores on a pool like this when the maps are so heavily oriented around some of the, you know, aim skill sets, flow aim and snap aim. And I hope for Mathi right now that he's feeling really good on this DT4 right now, because I don't know what else there's going to be for him. And obviously, xootynator 1 point away from closing this match out right now. She's really been feeling good on some of these flow aim picks today, and we'll see if Mathi's able to hold up here. His accuracy is certainly going to be more comfortable, as he is more comfortable on 10.3. The first break will come from xootynator once again.
Yep, this is, I think, just a reasonably solid pick for Mathi in that it's a high BPM, high approach rate, which is kind of his specialty, even if the exact style of the map doesn't necessarily fall in line. The stats of the map, the settings of the map are well within his comfort zone, and I think more so than Zooty's, as you're seeing here with another break. 3% accuracy lead just about, and a big combo lead.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I think this was like Mathi picking this because it's DT, and it's DT, high BPM, high AR, so it was like, yeah, might as well, but Zooty not going to be too bothered by the outcome of this map, I don't think, regardless, is what's nice for her. Even if she loses this by like 400k, she's still up, she still has her own pick to try and close it out. So this is not the worst spot to be in for her. And for Mathi, it's like, okay, I was probably always going to win this. Now how do I go about getting a break point? Because so far that's been impossible.
Well, he's had a rough time taking some of his own picks, too, besides all these DT-oriented ones here. And I think this is kind of more how Mathi wanted the Nomad 6 to go, with the flow aim kind of slightly finger control-oriented. He is going to find a break at the ending, which is still a ridiculously impressive score, but, kind of just slightly higher BPM, and this is kind of what he was expecting, to come out of some of these picks that are styled around the flow aim. So he is going to put up a ridiculously impressive score with a singular miss on there. zootynator just slightly less comfortable with the faster 10.3 picks here today, and it showed on the DT one as well. So Mathi, able to pick up another point here. He's still going to be down 2 right now. This is zootynator's final pick of the match. She is going to have her opportunity to potentially close the match out right now. If she isn't able to, then we may very well have a chance at seeing tiebreaker today, because given the fact that Mathi has still somehow squeezed into more points here, he's only let up Sapphire on Fire. He's actually done a really good job of picking, just with the exception of that one break point, but Zooty goes in for the hidden pick. This is fast, though.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about this map earlier, because yes, it's hidden, yes, it's like kind of tech-y, but it's 222 BPM streams, and that's something that's a little more comfortable, I would think, for Mathi than for Zooty. However, in her side of things, the tech aspect of it and the hidden aspect of it are definitely working in her favor. So I think this is going to be a very, very competitive pick. We've seen what players are capable of on this yesterday, like Taquito. So which one of these two will shine through on it is going to be the question now. Can Zooty close it out right here? Or can Mathi get his first and would-be only break point of the match to try and force a tiebreaker on his own pick? This is a tough setting for it regardless, and there goes Zooty, but Mathi as well. The chain misses on that space pattern.
The accuracy difference between the two, though, the chain miss from Zooty a little bit worse on that section. But again, this map is pretty aim-heavy with some of these sliders right now, and we've been talking about it the entire match. Mathi down in combo just a little bit here, but God, that accuracy is making such a difference right now. A lot of cut patterns in here, high intensity throughout the entire thing. There is no slip-up opportunities here, otherwise the big chain misses will come out here. A lot of these sliders, potential for random slider breaks if you're not ready for some of the velocities here. We haven't seen a big one yet, but there is still potential for it. I'm waiting for whoever finds a slider break somewhere. Here's a big stream section.
Wow, they both
Zooty
made it
holds
through that. She hit a couple of extra hundreds, but they both kept combo through. One of the big question marks I had coming into this match was going to be who is going to be better at tech today. We really haven't seen much of that skill set, and now we're seeing it at the very last moment of the match, and it seems to be about as dead even as you might have expected from two players at this level, and there's still just no breaks forthcoming. This is staying dangerously close. Mathi relying on the 2% accuracy lead. Zooty not enough combo lead to make up for it. This is scary. As we get closer and closer to the halfway mark, they're just refusing to miss. Nobody wants to break it all. Nobody wants to be the one to fall behind, and they both hit the kick slider pattern, and we're into the halfway mark with a 1.6% acc lead for Mathi.
4K on that combo from xootynator is what she's brought it down to right now. It's a big build up here.
Danger. Oh my god.
Oh my god, she held.
She understreamed that so hard, but she held the combo, and she's still behind in score because of the accuracy.
Mathi cannot miss here. He's got it in the bag, though. If both of these players hold into the ending here, Mathi is going to have one of the most ridiculous plays I've seen of this weekend, and xootynator is going to lose this one on accuracy. Mathi just more comfortable on these 220 streams here. He's going to hit 99.
That was the exact concern for me coming into this, was him being more comfortable on that higher BPM, and he's proving that to be the case. But there's still time. There's still a full quarter of the map left to go. I mean, this is not a short pick by any means, and it never gets any easier.
I'm so nervous because we saw something similar. It was Malashevsky and Utami, both of them holding right into the ending, and it was just a little break at the ending that gave it up for Malashevsky, and God, I hope for Mathi right now that doesn't happen again. We're going to come into a slightly slider-oriented ending section here, which leaves a lot of room for potential breaks. We're going to go down in a couple more streams in here with the, kind of a little bit more stacked patterning with the spacing. We're looking for something from either of these players, but neither giving anything up. It's not enough score for Mathi to be able to find a break right now. He's got to hold right into the finish. xootynator breaks!
Oh, she just fell apart on those cut streams, and that's going to decide it. It's going to be Mathi taking the point. What a freaking score! By the way, match point down, and you put up a 1700 plus combo 99 act play on the mod that, you haven't been preference for this match. What did he just do? 839k, 99.13 ack, 3 misses. That's not legal. I think if you go to most places in the world, you'll be thrown in jail for doing that sort of thing. And Mathi just comes out of it on top, and now the confidence building, but he still has to make a pick.
What does he go for here? What does he pick?
Do? I mean, what's even left? You have, so you have what? Nomad 3, Nomad 4?
Oh, Nomad 4. Nomad 4. Tech map number 2.
This has got to be no, this is such a Nomad 4 angle for him, right? It's a high BPM. It's got a lot of streams. It's, I think, right up his alley. Especially after winning that map just now. You just won a streamy tech map. Well, guess what? We have a 200 BPM real lazy Nomad 4 waiting for you in the Nomad pool.
It's a speed map. It's a fast map, too. This is such a Mathi angle on Nomad 4 right now. If he doesn't pick it, unironically, I will lose all confidence in Mathi if he doesn't pick it. It is such... I feel like it's obvious. Like, it's so similar to what Hidden 3 just was in terms of speed and the, skill requirement. It's not Nomad 4. He did not go for Nomad 4. He went for the alt map.
I hate this. I hate this so much.
This is dangerous. This is dangerous.
Zooty FC'd last week's Nomad 3. She beat him on it by almost 400,000 points.
Mathi's got some kahunas to pick this one right now. Oh,
this is so danger, man. I really think after winning that Hidden 3, you have to go Nomad 4 here. But these guys are both so good at alt. They are insane. The problem is, Chillier, what's been the thing that's been dragging Mathi down this entire match? It's been his control aim. And what does this Nomad 3 throw at you throughout the entire thing? It's 4 minutes of alt control aim.
This map is, and I will give it only this, kind of similar in style of flow aim to DT4. So maybe he thinks that he's got an angle on that, but he loses the speed and he loses the higher AR. And that is where the concern is coming from right now, is he loses all of the stuff, I think, that gave him the advantage on that pick. But we'll see. No. Maybe he knows what he's good at right now. Maybe he knows that flow aim. Oh, Zooty finds a break. Okay, maybe. Okay. I'm losing my mind.
I don't know. Oh gosh, another.
Oh god,
was that Bancho? That had to be Bancho, right?
I haven't seen a Bancho. Might have under-aimed.
I haven't seen a Bancho miss in a while, actually. Maybe we're getting lucky in that regard.
Twice.
She under-aimed badly on a couple of different patterns, and there she goes. Oh my goodness.
Oh, this might have been the angle. Okay.
Mathi, I'm sorry for ever doubting you if this plays out the way it's starting. I apologize for ever questioning that pick, because clearly he knows something I don't. And he's been able to figure out how to play aim properly over the course of this match. I guess that's what happens in a best of 13. You've got, 10, 12 maps, depending, kind of when that aim first gets picked. You've got a lot of maps to try and figure out your aim over the course of a match this long, and Mathi kind of able to do that as he's still holding the SS until finally dropping his first 100, but he's up 300 combo and 100k score, and we're only a third of the way in.
Yeah, it's a close pick still. Honestly, xootynator has made a good recovery from those early few breaks there. She was maybe getting a little bit more comfortable with the aim here. And there goes a break from Mathi. It's not going to be the end of the world. It is far enough before halfway that his score won't be hard capped at that 650k, but he is now in a position where xootynator is going to have to continue to find a couple more breaks. And they can trade breaks here. He's in the unique position that he hasn't been in much this match, where he can take a little bit of a score loss here, from xootynator. He's still got a bit of a gap right now, but it's gonna close.
This gap is gonna come down. Ooh, another break. Oh no,
that's not good.
Danger.
They see the score.
We're seeing Taquito versus Arnold all over again, aren't we?
Oh no. Oh god.
Oh man. Zooty Nomad 3 is dangerous.
xootynator, you are manually breathing.
She is so strong on these maps, even with those under aims early on. She's clearly confident and comfortable enough with this pick. She's up to an 800 combo. The score lead goes over, and this is danger for Mathi's winner's bracket life here.
Mathi has to be nervous here. He has to be. This is tiebreaker forcing pick right now. There's no way these misses aren't all because of nerves. He's got the ACK lead still, so if xootynator does break, there's plenty of time for him. There's a really hard section coming up, and if he's able to hold combo here, and xootynator finds one little miss-aim like she did at the beginning, this map could go, and Mathi finds the break, and that's going to be the match, I think.
Yep. I was thinking 500k was going to be the number, and it looks like that's going to be about accurate. Mathi simply could not afford to break there. If he had held on that preceding pattern with Zooty chain missing on the one after it, it might have been different. But unfortunately, he breaks on the linear pattern. Zooty holds enough, and that's just going to do it.
Oh, a couple chain misses from Zooty, but unfortunately, 80,000 score with not a lot of note density.
And our tiebreaker dreams are just going to be squashed once again as xootynator just figures out how to play Nomad 3. It took her about 300 combo, and she remembered, oh yeah, I'm good at this skill set. Let me just go ahead and put up 1,000 combo and take 100,000 score lead and take a 7-5 victory and take my spot in the grand finals.
Well, for xootynator, that is an incredibly impressive performance in this match today. She was an absolutely dominating force through every single pick of hers until the exact last one. She had all the aim today, the control, the precision. She was just ready across the board. Mathi, I think it was just how long it took him to find his aim in this match. There was a chance he could have taken a break point back and maybe had something different happen, but with the way things planned out, Mathi really only was able to be slightly comfortable at the ending of this, and xootynator, rightfully so, will be advancing through our winner's bracket finals here, and she will have a guaranteed at least second place finish in this tournament this year. Mathi now going to fall down to the loser's bracket to face the matches of his life in the next weekend.